Hey everybody, I'm Joey Evans, and this is the first video of this style that I have done. I know a lot of people on the channel have done it. I've been here for several years at the channel, and I've not done one of these yet. And because really, this type of video is pretty much, you have to admit you were wrong. It's weird, it's very hard to do. So I am looking at some of those games in the past that I have changed my rating for. Now, I think, let me see, I'm not sure how much a lot of these have changed, but the big thing for me is telling you why I've changed my rating. And initially when you play a game, you have to have that initial response. You play it several times, but then later it can grow on you or it could go the other way. So I've got several games here. Now looking back, these have stood out that I saw my rating. I'm like, it would be very different now. Because honestly, I think these videos are important too, because I like to not only be about Cult of the New, I love looking at things off the shelf. So if this actually inspires someone to honestly get a game that they've been thinking about getting for a while, or take that game off their shelf again and take a look at it. You know what? So the older games are great, but this is me admitting I'm wrong. These are games that my rating has changed on. Okay, so first off, I'm going to start off with a print and play. A print and play by nature, I'm thinking, you know, print and plays are seen as very simple. It's like you get it, you spend a couple bucks on it, it can't be that good. So that it is already fighting against that, you know, but then it might get published. And then people are like, okay, this is a good game, it's good enough to be published. But it's still the same game. This, for me, is 52 Realms. 52 Realms, it's pretty much a dungeon crawl that you only use as a deck of cards, right? So you're kind of flipping the cards, and you're going through the dungeon on the, it's not really a whole dungeon layout, but it's on a piece of paper, right? So you're going to kind of go through the dungeon, and every time you flip a card, something different happens. Now, again, it has several things going against it. One is a print and play. One, it uses a deck of cards, which people see as lazy. But this is a game that, for me, has had a lot of staying power. I liked it when I first looked at it. I came at it a 7 on this, right? So it wasn't I didn't like it, but I didn't expect it to honestly be played this often. This is one that I always travel with because I think it does not use a die, you know, but it uses the deck of cards. What I like about that is there are so many different choices or things that can happen with a deck of cards because it uses everything from the suit to the number, to whether it's court, whether it's number. All of this and every flip will then change that. And you really have a lot of great decisions that happen in this. And then all the characters you get play different. They actually feel like what they are, the druid or whatever. It's very interesting. I really enjoy this. So I'm coming from a 7 initially to an 8.5 on this. This is one that also I like the fact that it's getting more love now. People are discovering it. This is a very simple game that you can take with you. Again, it's probably one of the only games that I always have in my backpack or suitcase when I'm traveling, because this is something you can play anywhere with a deck of cards and a couple pieces of paper. I'd like to see more expansions and more characters added to this. But this is 52 Realms. You should definitely check it out. And because it's a print and play, you could do it tonight. Okay, so my next one, it's funny how this rating has changed, and it's probably the smallest change on it, but I had to mention it because it is steadily going up. And this is, it's a crowded field in campaign games, and I've sworn off many campaign games because I'm like, I don't have time for them. This is one that has broken the mold. This is Aridia. Aridia is this one I rated high, but looking back, it wasn't really high enough. Taking a look at this, there are more of other campaign games that I play, but the more of those I play, the more I realize this is fantastic. The whole thing is there are great FAQs in this, which is monstrous here. You always know what you're going to do. You don't have to dive into a rule book. Everything is spilled out so well. You know, and the organization on this is great. The switchable paths are wonderful. The simple actions on this, the skill tree that you get to go has a lot of fun choices that will get you to mastery. And a lot of those choices will lead to different things that you want to do and kind of specializing on your character. And then you get to adjust your character to the game and also the game to your game style. It's got kind of the video game feel as these different side quests. And the side quests still feel connected to an overarching story. And you can choose to do them or not. And I love how everything changes. And then That's not even mentioning the overland map. I love the overland map. It gets, sometimes you either enjoy in a town, you enjoy the fight, or you enjoy the map more. But this one, everything. There's no kind of drop off, because when you leave that fight, fights are great, but when you leave those and you go to the overland map, you're just as excited to see what's going to happen there. This game has it all. I'm coming in at 9.5 from a 9 on this, and I can see this honestly going up to a 10. The other thing is it's a campaign game, so know that going in, but it is so worth it to dive into this. So check it out. This is Aridia. Aridia? Okay, so the next game I'm going to take a look at was by GMT Games, I believe, and this is a coin game, and coin stands for counterinsurgency. And a lot of those are very meaty, thinky war game styles, right? But this is Guest of Robin Hood. Guest of Robin Hood, you're pretty much playing, you know, the sheriff and his group over here versus Robin Hood and his merry men. At first, this game hit me as very procedural. Right? And it is. And it seems like it was going to favor the person who's more experienced, which most games do, but this one it seemed to be a bit more of a swing. But then the more I play it, the more I am loving the way that theme shines through on this. Although it's a tug of war, is what it pretty much comes down to. And I love that in a two-player game, you know, because you have that very simple where to look and see how you're doing. You get to move it back and forth. I love that. But then the theme on this, because the whole time the sheriff, they're trying to find the merry men or Robin Hood in there. And you kind of unmask people, different points, and try to find him in that group, right? But then at certain points, I mean, the theme on this where Robin Hood can be sitting there and then he can rip off his mask and show it's really him, and you can kind of lead that parish onto your side. There's so much going on. You have to time that, and you have to do it at a certain location because certain places you're safer than others. And then the forest, it's great for the merry men, but it's hard to send that carriage through because it could easily get robbed. Where you rob the carriage really differs because it really depends on what die you're going to roll. So the chances you have of survival, there's so many different event cards that can come out. This game is great and not too difficult to grasp. Again, this is GMT, so the rule book isn't great. You know, the rule book, it feels like there's a lot in there, but actually in the gameplay, it's fairly simple. This one, my wife and I have played quite a bit. And this one, I'm coming in, I think I came in at a 7.5 on this before, but I'm bumping that up to an 8.5, which is a seal of excellence, because I really do enjoy this. And then honestly, it makes me happy seeing this get so much play out there. I see it being played at cons, and I'm like, man, this is good. I want to dive back into this. I'm not big on coin games. I probably play, this is my only one, maybe a couple other ones, but this one just stands out as a two-player game that's different and thematic. Try it out if you haven't. It is Guest of Robin Hood. Okay, so this one is probably one of my biggest surprises for me that I am jumping this up pretty high, considering what it is, because at first there were parts about it I did not like. But those parts really didn't affect much gameplay. This is Nucleium. Nucleium at first, when you open it up, the setup is a bear. I mean, the setup is probably 30 to 45 minutes. It's a lot to set up this game, right? And then you talk about the rules. The rules are a slog to get through. So many times in there, it'll say, we'll explain this later in the rules. And you'll be on page 7, and it'll say, on page 19, we're going to talk about this. And I'm like, come on, man. And it's a heavy euro. You know, think brass and barrage, all that stuff, which is fine. But it's also the way the rules are put together is not in a very appealing way, right? So it was kind of a slog to get into, a slog to hit the table. And those are going to be turn-offs for people. And they were for me at first. But then I started playing it, and I liked it. I think I ended up giving it a 7 at first. But then since then, I've played it more and more and more, and there's so much to love about this game. I really think the rules should be, revised. It's an easier game. The rules make it look. But I love so much about this. I love the action selection. I love how you can use tiles on your player board to get income, or you can then use them as a railway, but if you do that, you lose them. That decision on when to do that, I love that give and take. I love that feeling of when to do certain things and to have those options to put forward, right? And then Also, this also, at first, it kind of shifts, right? It feels like a kind of a route building game at first, because you are building those routes. You're trying to get that network out there. But later in the game, that shifts because the network is mostly built. And now you're going to go to try to get certain points, and your strategies are going to shift. This has great game tempo. There are big score changes after the game ends. I love all of this. And it's actually fairly, you know what, forget about the rule book. It's a fairly easy teach for what is essentially a heavy Euro game. This, honestly, for me, takes the best of Brass and Barrage and puts it into this game. I think it goes from a 7 to, I think it's an 8.5 for me, and I can see it going up. This is one that I really, really do enjoy. I love the artwork on it. I love the theme. I love the look of it. But this is Nucleium. Check it out. Okay, and finally, this is, again, to right a wrong. I was wrong about this one, and I'm going to explain myself, but I still don't like CCGs. But I am talking about Star Wars Unlimited. I still don't want to buy it. I have to be strong. But I have to say that this game is great. It is by far the greatest CCG I've ever played. And it's very hard to say. You know, for me, I played a lot of them. I haven't fell in love with any of them. I've thought these are fun, had great things. This one is fantastic. I mean, the pace is so perfect. It's so streamlined from the resources to battling to the order of the turns. And then you don't have those long moments where you have to watch your opponent go through AP, break down, and then everything and all this. It flows very quick. Everything is fast about this. It's also very easy to pick up rule-wise, right? So I immediately want to play it again with different decks. Very rarely I want to do that with the CCG. I want to build a deck, right? It gets me excited because, number one, I like the Star Wars universe. I don't love it as much as a lot of other people. I'm more Star Trek than Star Wars. But I like Star Wars. But you get to build the deck, and you get to feel that as you play through the game. Man, that really, really works. I've never enjoyed that deck building aspect as going towards a certain character as much as I do here. Something else on this, the artwork has grown on me. At first, I saw it and it was random, right? There's no consistency in the artwork. Han Solo could look one certain way here, another way here, but later, that's grown on me because that has given because of sheer number of cards, it's given a variety to that. So as much as I love the gameplay, I also love the artwork because the artwork now has really grown on me. I was wrong about that because now I enjoy seeing it. It doesn't get stale on this style of artwork that's going to show up on certain cards. Now, it's still a CCG. I know that. But it's not just a CCG. For me, it's the CCG. This is probably the only one that I would play consistently. So I'm coming from a 7 to a 9 on this. This game, I'm going to hold off buying it because I've got people in my circle that own it and they're going to spend that money on it. But I have to admit now, once and for all, this game is great. It's so fun, something after you play the heavier games, the bigger games, you want to sit there and you've got some time, you just battle it out with new decks. Man, I love this. So this is Star Wars Unlimited. Okay, so there we go. There are 5 games and how they have changed in my view, and that's what I love. I love revisiting games that I played a while back and taking a look at what I thought about them now. And surprisingly, all of those have gone up. I do have some that have gone down, surprisingly, too. But maybe I'll do another video covering some of those. But those are some. Again, I love to grab games off the shelf, whether I've played them or whether I've not, because you know what? Great games are coming off the press. Great games are coming off the shelf. I just like playing games. I'm Joey Evans, and I'll see you later on the channel.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.